In the long and bloody history of the human race, there's only one thing we can truly call our own. For a millennia, men have, through fire and steel, claimed lands they have no right to, proudly waving colorful banners of someone else's design, giving important sounding names to forests older than time itself, and stealing ancient knowledge from revered scholars and passing it off as their own. Our grandest cities are a mere shadow of the masterpieces we buried under stone, brick, and bones. Our language is an unholy amalgamation of borrowed words, and our letters are stolen from the dwarves that were around these parts long before humanity's infancy. The entirety of human culture and civilization stands firmly on the charred remains of the ancient kingdoms we toppled and the scavenged knowledge we found among the still smoldering cinder. But there is one thing we can truly and rightfully lay a claim to: magic. From beyond the portals that sunder the earth during the conjunction of spheres, our ancestors emerged with nothing but the hides on their backs and empty stomachs. They had no lands to call their own, no armies to fight for them, or commanders to lead them. The only thing of value they brought from our native world is the knowledge of magic and the skill of extracting the power that lays dormant in the land and using it to wield grand spells. Magic is their legacy, and magic is our birthright, and with magic they carved out humanity's place in the world. But this story is not about the history of magic or our early ancestors and the trials and tribulations. This story is about a young girl that was born to a wealthy family that owned an estate in the heart of Vengenberg, the capital of the kingdom of Idrin. She was born on the night of Bletane, a festival of fertility and love that is celebrated by the rich and the poor on the night between May the 30th and the 1st of April. Being born on such a joyful occasion is considered a good omen, a foretelling of prosperity and happiness to those who were fortunate enough to be born on such a happy holiday. But this girl had no such luck, for she was born with a terrible deformity. The poor girl's spine was contorted and concaved in an unnatural way, forming a large round protrusion on her back that painfully bended her torso. She was, for a lack of a better term, born a hunchback. If she were born a common peasant girl to a poor, working-class family, her father would have most likely taken her out to the woods one night and left her there to die, but that was not her fate. In normal circumstances, once she reached womanhood, she would have been married off to a son of a merchant or perhaps even the local duke, like most highborn ladies are, but her unfortunate bodily defect made her an unsuitable disgrace to her family, unfit for public display, and I'm guessing her mother, no matter how painful it was, felt that she had no other choice but to send her only daughter away to the one place where she would not be ostracized for her appearance, and the only place that would provide her a somewhat normal life. A place whispered about in the dark by the nobles and common folk alike, most exclusive and highly secretive. A place of learning and prestige where only the richest and the most noble ladies are given admission. The Aretuza Magic Academy for Women. The only such institution on the continent, situated on the island of Tanid that is found in the bay northwest of Grossvelen in the kingdom of Temeria, teaching and housing only young ladies with sufficient stature and coin to afford a hefty annual fee of 1,200 Novigrad crowns. The academy is well known throughout the northern kingdoms, and many highborn ladies that fail to attract suitors are sent there by their respective families. The heroine of our story couldn't have been more than 10 when she undertook the long journey from Vengenberg to Aretuza. Reaching the academy after so many days of travel and seeing the palace of Garstang in all its glory must have been a breathtaking sight, but even such a joyous occasion has a pang of sorrow in it. The students of the academy are not permitted to leave the island for the duration of their education, a process that could take more decades to complete, and visitors are only allowed in the lowest levels of the academy. No mother would send her only child to the other side of the continent if she could bear the thought of being separated even briefly, let alone being literally mountains apart. Out of sight, out of mind, or something along those lines, I guess. But in truth, things were looking up for our young, newly baked apprentice. Being a student at one of the most prestigious learning institutions in the known world won't protect her from the mockery of fellow students, but at least her life will have a purpose, and she was on her way to become a master of the arcane arts, a sorceress. But, just like with all things in life, there is a catch. If a student is found to lack the dedication, discipline, and talent needed to master the art of spellcraft, there is no room for you at the academy, and undesired candidates are sent back to their families. In the case of our unfortunate protagonist, there would most likely be no going back home if she didn't make the cut. Only the cold streets awaited her. Furthermore, sorcery is equal part a mental and physical discipline, and extracting the hidden energy deep from within the earth requires great talent and effort. Those who possess such a rare mixture of personal qualities are few and far in between. To better illustrate my point and to put the dual nature of spellcrafting in perspective, let's reach into the future and allow our heroine herself, now fully grown and well versed in all things magic, to educate us on the topic of sorcery. There are multiple scholarly definitions of the term magic. I could cite them all, pointing out their various inconsistencies and pondering which should be considered most correct, but I will not. Instead, I will borrow the words I heard from my own mistress when I was a young and inexperienced sorceress and put forth a similar question. Magic is oftentimes referred as the art. This is no coincidence. Magic is perceived by many as an elite discipline requiring artistry and talent, and indeed very few possess the immense creative abilities needed to wield it. Those with magical talent can use it to create things of awe and beauty, wonders without which the world would certainly be a much more miserable place. Therefore, those who name magic a beautiful blessing brought forth into this world by the conjunction of the spheres are in a sense correct. Magic has also been called chaos incarnate, a primal, dangerous force, merciless and destructive. In the hands of the unwary, it becomes that key that can open the forbidden doors behind which lies ruin and destruction. Therefore, those who say that magic is curse born of chaos during the conjunction of the spheres that will doom this world are also correct. Finally, according to others, magic is science, that is, knowledge which can only be acquired through extensive study, discipline, and hard work. In this view, magic is progress. It's a process of constant advancements initiated during the conjunction of spheres, which brings development, eliminates the alignments of this world, provides answers to the questions that plague mankind, broadens minds, and introduces innovations. It is therefore also correct to say that magic is its own particular science. In the end, magic is all three of the above. It's art, chaos, and science, a blessing, a curse, and progress. It all depends on who calls upon it, and for what purpose. Magic stems from nature. It is in the earth we walk upon, in the fire burning in its heart, in the air we breathe, and in the water which brings life and flows within us. If you happen to be gifted with the peculiar talent, all you need to do is reach out your hand and grasp the magic all around you. So you see, magic is indeed quite a complicated concept to grasp, and for most, it's a discipline forever out of reach, and I think that elusiveness and the veil of secrecy that shrouds the art of spellcrafting is what caused the general disdain towards magic in the eyes of the common folk. Mages and sorcerers alike are discriminated against by the common folk who know no better and see only as far as their fields reach, but also by many of the members of the ruling class, albeit through discreet action rather than direct words. It is true that great kings and queens recognize the usefulness of sorcerers and their craft and call upon their services when the need arises, yet few choose to have a sorcerer stationed at their castle, and some even, with open disgust, refuse to allow any sort of spellcraft on the land they rule over. Men fear the unknown, and for most magic is, and always will be, a mysterious deep hole with no end in sight, better left well alone. But in the end, better to be a sorceress, hated and feared by the rabble, than simply a hunchback, begging for coins in a dirty alley that no one has time or the sympathy for. That was the fate that awaited our young protagonist had she not been among the lucky few that indeed do possess the inborn talent needed to sense and manipulate the energy that is found all around us. And so she remained at the academy, studying, learning, and growing, eventually acquiring the required knowledge and skills to permanently straighten her spine and reverse her inborn deformity. She was no longer a hunchback, but a thing of beauty. During her stay at the academy, she grew from a girl to a woman, and even later, from a woman to a sorceress. In the decades that followed her graduation, she became well known across the northern kingdoms for her mastery and beauty, rising above common village witches, simple healers, and even most other mages. Her dedication and talent eventually reached the ears of royalty, and she was invited to serve as a royal advisor for King Demavent, the ruler of her home kingdom of Ireland. And with her parents long dead and buried, she decided to go back to her roots and settle in Vengerberg, her birthplace. From deformity and abandonment to fame and power, her journey was a long and troubled one, but she took nothing for granted and claimed what she thought was rightfully hers. She is a powerful sorceress, advisor to a king, the youngest member of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, known far and wide for her beauty and strength and feared by her enemies. She is Yennefer of Vengenberg, also called Yen by those dear to her, but that is a story for another time. And that grandiose last sentence ends the first episode of Witcher lore that is dedicated solely to Yennefer of Vengenberg. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next one will be following in, I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe even sooner. But till then, I will see you, be safe, have fun, and bye-bye.